All right. Well, it's a few minutes past the hour, and I do want to value your time. And first of all, thank you for joining us today on our webinar. My name is Tom Franz. I'm your host today. I'm working in conjunction with Graham Campbell. We cover sales for SP Marketplace. My region I typically cover is Midwest, Western states for the U.S., Western Canada, and some of the Asian countries. What we're going to do today is have about a 40-minute demo, actually a webinar, where we talk about our facilities product, our module, and how it works. And then after that, we'll leave about 20 minutes toward the end of the hour to do some Q&A. Any further questions that you might want to chat or whatnot, we'll do that also toward the end. So with that, I think I will turn it over to Daryl. Daryl is both the president and CEO of SP Marketplace. He has lots of experience in software, and he's designed the market. And there's Wilton. He designed our products, so he's very, very familiar. And with that, I will turn it over to Daryl.
Okay, thank you, Tom. What we'll do today is I'll give a very short overview of who SP Marketplace is and our products, but then we'll talk a little bit about facilities management, some of the challenges, and how we've seen people around the world, our customers, their traditional approaches, and then of tracking different aspects of the facilities management function. Then we'll introduce you to what you can do on Office 365 to automate some of those functions and make the whole facilities management function more productive and more communicative, and provide better services and more timely services to your customers. I'm going to go ahead and show my screen, and you should see it in a couple minutes. I just have to put it in display mode here. And as I said, we'll keep the PowerPoint slides hopefully to a minimum, because I think what most of you came to see is what you can do on Office 365 to help the facilities function. So once again, this webinar is how to automate facilities management functions, leveraging your Office 365 platform. So just an introduction, we are SP Marketplace, actually stands for SharePoint Marketplace. And our whole goal is to, with our customers, is to help them take advantage of the Office 365 platform to automate and make more productive various functions in their business infrastructure in running their company, leveraging the Office 365 and Microsoft 365 platform. I'm the CEO of SP Marketplace. I'm also the designer of the products, and then we go ahead and have developers develop them, leveraging the Office 365 capabilities. A little bit about the company. We started in 2012, so we have been doing this for 11 years. And what we do is we actually create out-of-the-box business applications on top of the Office 365 and Microsoft 365 platform. They are built right into the platform, and this is a real differentiator for us. So rather than some of the SaaS products that you might see out there, SaaS being vendors who have their own cloud, we actually leverage your private Microsoft cloud, and there's some benefits to that. Number one is you're not sharing the application with 1,000 other companies. It's actually running on your Office 365 cloud or tenant. And that means you can also have customizations done to it. You take advantage of all the capabilities in Office 365, which other vendors have to build in those capabilities in their own cloud. You have more control over your data, more control over the application. And so it's really a different approach. We call it the best of both worlds. It's the best of SaaS or software as a service applications with changes and so on, and availability through browsers and so on of the products, but also it's allowing you to have it on your tenant and controlling your data and your applications. So what we've done is develop a set of products called SP Workplace Solutions. They're all part of a suite of products that we have that have been developed on Office 365. And this represents our product set that we have. Today, obviously, we'll be talking about the facilities product and taking a look at what that is and how we leverage Office 365 to bring you that product. A little bit as far as the last 10 years and so on, we have over 1,500 installations of these products worldwide. We're a very close Microsoft partner, so we have a lot of experience across different areas, especially in the facilities area, which is one of our most popular products, the work order and asset management product. The nice thing about it too is if your organization is using Office 365 or Microsoft 365, if you're using SharePoint, if you're using Teams, Outlook, those type of things, that's what this runs in. And you can access it through SharePoint or Teams. You can access it through mobile. You can access it through laptops as well as desktops. So the other key thing, and this is your IT teams will like this, it leverages the Office 365 and Microsoft 365 infrastructure of governance with Active Directory for your security and other areas such as OneDrive and document storage and so on. So let's just do a quick discussion about what we've seen. As I've said, we've had a lot of experience supporting customers in the facilities management area. And of course, the challenges here is there's a lot going on. And I don't have to tell you guys that, you know that. Everything from you have to track and manage work orders on a daily basis. And assigning and making sure they're done, service requests that come in from your customers from the organization, or in some cases outside the organization, especially if you're doing any type of property management type things too. Recurring work, things that happen such as, clean up the break room or do certain repetitive work that might be every week, every month, that type of thing. And so it's tracking those recurring work things. And then asset maintenance. Many of the assets, HVAC systems, equipment, vehicles, those type of things require periodic maintenance. And you have to manage and make sure that that is done on a timely basis. So then, of course, all these things going on, your challenge is with your limited resources, how do you assign? How do you schedule your resources? Almost every organization we work with uses outside contractors for specialty things like HVAC or deep electrical or plumbing or those type of things as well. How do you actually manage those contractors as part of the work order process? And if you have equipment, how do you actually track what equipment might be using? It could be scaffolding or it could be something like that. And then beyond, the daily operational things, there's also things that you have to manage, such as regulatory reports, invoices, contracts and documents and budgets as well, and on a regular basis. So it is a many kind of different type of functions and tasks that are required, and sometimes it's a challenge to manage all those. And what we've seen in a lot of organizations that don't already have some type of work order system or other systems is they're trying to do things manually. And what we see is really overuse of email and phones for, actually tracking requests and that type of thing. Still a lot of paper usage, file cabinets with contracts and paper and invoices and regulations and warranties on assets and stuff like that. Tracking tasks with clipboard checklists or whiteboard schedules with lots of post-it notes all over the place. We see use of Excel spreadsheets, which is fine, but again, that's not necessarily an active shared thing as well. And then, when management says, hey, what are you guys doing? Or why do we have to replace this asset so soon? Didn't you do maintenance on it? And so on. There's reporting to management about what the facilities organization is doing, what their activities have been. So this is what we see out there, and that can be overwhelming. And the eventual result we see in trying to do it this way, especially if your organization's growing or adding, buildings or facilities, is what we call facilities chaos. You start to miss things. You start to miss maintenance. You start to have work orders drop off the table, or people complaining about service. And that's really what we're here to help address. So what we're going to show you today is how you can use your existing Microsoft 365 or Office 365 cloud and tenant and the capabilities within that to actually do some of the automation of things like tracking and managing the work orders. And work orders in our terms is really all work going on. That it could be maintenance work order, it could be a recurring work order, and so on. But easily managing those, capturing them from requests from your users out there, hopefully not by phone and not just by email, but actually to fill out a form. Also, the ability to automate that recurring work, so you don't have to enter in work orders every week into a system that is the same work order on a regular basis. So create recurring work order templates and having them automatically done. The ability to have a place to have asset information and track the assets and maintenance schedules on those assets, and being able to create maintenance work orders automatically from the system as well. The ability to have your facilities in a database and track different aspects of the facilities, could be floor plans, could be records of even we have some organizations that are leasing out different parts of their facility to renters and tracking things like that. All of our customers have contractors and vendors that they're trying to manage, and the ability to, for instance, assign automatically a contractor a work order and have them receive a notification email, or take a look at if there's a recall from a vendor, be able to see where all those assets are from that vendor. And then finally, the ability to have a place to manage contracts, to have notifications on when warranties are going to expire or contracts need to be renewed, and so on as well. So all of these are aspects of the processes that we're going to show how you can automate them using the Microsoft 365. So one other thing too, just about how these are built, if there's any technical people online, we actually use the Microsoft platform to build these. So these are out of the box ready applications, full business applications, and they're built on SharePoint and Teams, and we leverage behind the scenes something called the Power Platform, and that is Power Automate, Power BI, and apps. The key thing here is this is different than your traditional vendor who has a bunch of people coding on their own cloud. What we're doing is using the readily available capabilities of the Microsoft platform, which allows us to actually take advantage of things that are way beyond what other vendors can do. And the nice thing is they're no-code solutions. We don't have a bunch of coders in a corner doing this. They are using SharePoint for lists and libraries, pages. We're using Teams for communications, and so on. So we can develop these much quicker. We can also, because they're running in your tenant and it's your application, they can also be customized by Power Business users that may understand SharePoint or the Power Platform items either by yourself, or we also have customization services. The key thing is it allows you to support your processes as they are and not have to adjust everything to a generic type of process. The other thing too is obviously these could be developed by internally, but one of the things we guarantee is that it will, no matter what changes come from Microsoft, that we will support those changes, and Microsoft changes things every week. So there's also a benefit to having a vendor that you can count on that is supporting this on your Microsoft platform. The other thing is we take advantage of new capabilities in the platform as part of our subscription. Our product is updated on a periodic basis with new updates. For instance, one of the things that we're looking at and figuring out how we can use it is AI, which is new to the Microsoft platform, and building those into our products so that our customers can benefit from those in the future. So it is a growing product, a product that evolves with the platform. Okay, and with that, the key thing is, again, this is unlike any other vendor out there. This is on your 365 cloud, not a third-party vendor cloud. It leverages all the 365 governance and everything else that your IT group is already managing, and it is your data and your processes. So let's take a look at a demonstration of the SP Facilities product on 365, so you can get an idea of what you can do on Office 365. Okay, I am in SharePoint here, and this is SharePoint on Office 365. We also can access this through Teams. You can see here is the different applications that are out here. I can actually get to it if you have an intranet type site. You can actually have a link to it to get to it as well. And as I said, it also runs in Teams and is accessible both from mobile and laptop. Now, we actually designed this around what we call roles. And the different roles that we have for the products is the facilities staff. That's obviously anybody in the facilities group out there, managing work orders, managing the different things within the facilities group or maintenance group. Another role is admin. This is somebody that can actually change this application and do different things. I'm actually in here as an admin, and that's why you see this. The product automatically adjusts for the roles on what is actually shown. And then finally, of course, a role is end users, your users that you're supporting out there that might submit requests or work order requests or different things. And for them, when they come to this, there's actually what we call an employee portal. And this is the My Facilities portal. And think of this as a place that you as a group can communicate with the rest of your organization that you're supporting. They can see announcements out here. They can see news items. This happens to be both outside and inside news items as well. They can submit a work order request. They can go to a FAQ, which is frequently asked questions, and they can even go to a useful docs library as well. They can see, you can actually post events that they might be invited to if you have any external events. And they can actually see the status of any work orders that they have submitted here. Now, this My Facilities portal, they wouldn't see necessarily this on the left side, but I'm signed in as an admin, so I see this. And the other thing too is they can access this through Teams. So there is actually an app called the My Facilities that they can go in and do the same thing out in Teams too. And again, this can be through mobile or through SharePoint that this is done. So let's go in and just take a look real quick. Let's say, somebody says, hey, I'm looking for maybe an evacuation map or something like that, or facilities forms or policies. Here's a building security policy right here. So they can go in and look for different things. They just, open up folders. They can click on it. It opens up in their browser with the information. They can even, if you choose to let them download these as well. They can also do searches. So if I'm looking for a, plan, we can go right in here and here's the evacuation plans there. So they can also search across all the documents. So it's a way to populate a place that is the public place for kind of self-service for the users to get their own things and not have to say, hey, where do I find this? As well, they can also submit work orders. So this is where they would actually go in and create a work order request. So perhaps something's not working, needs repair, whatever it might be. I'm going to tell you, we have a forms our specials forms product in SharePoint, they will only see this tab. They won't see the rest of these tabs. But again, I'm signed in as an admin, so I'll try to explain what changes for the users here. So if they need something, for instance, let's say heat is out in the conference room there, and there's a list of facilities. They can pick the facility that they're at. They can even put in location information here as well, and it automatically picks up who they are. If they're entering this for an end user or external user, sometimes, again, I said people rent spaces out or that type of thing. They can also put information in here about that person. You can have a set of categories. You set this up as part of the configuration. And this is a building issue and it's heating and cooling. Again, you can actually, if you want, you don't have to have the end users fill this out. They may not be knowledgeable enough for that. It could be actually filled out by you. And I'll go on and say heat is out in the main conference room, and we have a sales meeting Friday. Okay, so they can also make attachments. They can attach a form, they can attach pictures, whatever you want there. And I'll hit save. What will happen at this point is the system behind the scenes will actually send an email that to the end user that, for instance, heat's out in the conference room. Thank you for your work order. We'll begin working on it as soon as possible. You can give a link to it. And it'll also let your staff know that there's been a new work order submitted. You can actually even tie what staff should be notified by the category here as well, if you have specialty type things. So those are all notifications behind the scenes. And of course, the end user can also see the status of their work order right on this page, so they're not calling asking you, hey, where's this at? Okay, so that is the end user interface. And as a reminder, they can get at it through Teams or they can get at it through SharePoint. Okay, and it might be off of your intranet. So the next step is I'm going to actually change roles here. And now I'm coming in as part of the facilities staff. And the facility staff is obviously people who are managing the work orders and assigning them, tracking them. They're managing facilities information. They're managing asset information. They're managing documents out there as well. They're updating the knowledge base. And there is a dashboard too. And you can add other links if you have other things that the staff needs to get to. There's staff announcements just for the staff. This is very useful too. We have several customers who have different campuses around, and they need to communicate with across the facility staff. There is staff group links related to Teams. This is a team too. You don't have to use Teams with this, but you can. So you can have staff calendar. You can see all the new work orders that have come in right on this front page, asset maintenance that's due as well, and other links here. So it's kind of the home page for the staff at this point. So what I'm going to do, though, is take you through a cycle that shows how is a work order processed in the system. So work order comes in, and this is actually the list of all the work orders, and we'll show how you can do reporting and searching and all that type of things after we do the cycle here. But here is the new work order, and I see it come in here. Again, I could have linked from my email right to it as well. So I'm going to open this up, take a look at this. Okay, and again, just a reminder, I can do this on a tablet or smartphone as well. It will adjust the sizes and everything for that. So now I see these different tabs. These are what I would call the activity tabs against this work order. So here's the base information about this, details and status. I'm going to assign this. The request type is it's a problem, and we're doing this for reporting purposes. And you can define what drop downs you have and are appropriate for you. I'm going to assign this to Graham. And this staff assigned. Now, if not all of your facility staff, sometimes the guys out in the field are not necessarily on Office 365 or not necessarily tech savvy, even though they may be very mechanical savvy. You can also, if they're not on 365, you can put them in here and then select them, and it will send a text or an email notification to them. There's a contractor list. So I could go in and say, oh, and we may need Tempe heating and cooling for this, but right now I'm going to leave it open. As well, I could put in the due date, a scheduled date. This close date is when we actually close the work order. These are optional. I can also, if I'm keeping track of equipment like scaffolding, pressure washer and everything, and want to see where it's checked out, what work orders and stuff it's being used on, I can do that. And it cross-references with our asset list, which in this case, we're dealing with HVAC at the Arizona office. There's this work log. I can go in and put in information to Tom. So I'll say check thermostat first. Tom has a tendency to go up in the roof and go right to the HVAC system, but we're going to tell him to do that as well. There's also a knowledge base. If I suspect it's the thermostat, there is internally, this can be used that Tom or somebody could look at this. This could actually have both text information, videos, that type of thing in that knowledge base. And we can assign tasks and store documents related to this. But for right now, I'm just going to save this. And what will happen is Tom will get an email. Graham will get an email letting him know that he's been assigned this. It will show up in his My Work Orders as well. And then he can start working on it. So let's say Graham comes in and sees this and takes a look at it. He opens it up. And there is cross-reference information. One of the things that we call it a super view is that you should never have to get out of the work order to get other information. So like here is the Arizona regional office. I might want to see information about that, maybe a floor plan where this conference room is and so on. So here's information about that office. If there's documents out there, it could be a floor plan, could be evacuation plan. Here's the floor plan. I can just click here and open that floor plan right on my thing. I can see what assets are in that facility, and I can even see a work order history against that facility too. So this kind of tells me, what I need to know about the facility as well. Over here, I can see that I'm assigned. I can see a note from Daryl that does date and time stamped. And I can see also this asset here in the asset list. So I can cross-reference here, and I can see the HVAC system. I can see the base asset information, what facility it's in, description, history. This goes into when it was purchased, all that type of thing. We haven't filled out all the information there. Maintenance log. This is seasonally maintained every 90 days. Here's the maintenance log that's been done against it. There's some accounting information here that is mostly for kind of depreciation and stuff like that too. And then work order history, and even something called change requests. Change requests are major changes that might need to be approved, like replacing an entire compressor. There's documents related to this. You can see here's the maintenance manual. It could be warranty documents and so on. And then there's other things related to it, any tasks assigned it, or you can actually print any of these you can print out. So if you need to print the work order and hand it out, you could also do that. So I see that, the maintenance was done on this and so on. So now I'm going back to the work order, and I'm ready to go in and, by the way, I can also go look at the knowledge base, how to replace a thermostat right here as well too, and cross-reference that. So the key thing here is I'm going in and getting an idea what's going on. Now I'm ready to go update this. I've gone out, I've looked at the thermostat on it. I may be on my tablet here or whatever it might be. I'm going to go in and put a work log item about this. So I'm going to go in and say, need to replace thermostat. Okay, and then I also know that we don't have them in the supply closet or in supply. So I'm going to have to add a task for somebody to order that. So there's a task tracking thing within the application here, and I can go in and say order new Honeywell, excuse my typing, Honeywell thermostat. I can put a due date in, which I need it as soon as possible. So I'm going to say I need it by tomorrow. I'm going to assign this to Linda, who does our administration around the facilities group. And I can put in the product description, yada, 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 maybe model numbers or whatever it might be in there as well. And I'm going to say save. That will actually cross-reference to the work order, and Linda will get an email about this. And when she's done it, it will be status completed. And it will also send out notifications as well. So with that, I'm going to hit save. And again, I'm Graham, the guy working on it, and I'm probably doing it through a tablet. It's just hard to show it here as well. I'm going to close. So let's say the next day I get that. I go in and I can then once again update this, and I'm going to go in and say installed new thermostat. Okay, perhaps I put some verbiage in here about cost or anything like that. You can actually create other new fields anytime you want for cost or whatever that of supplies. And then I go over here and I can say it's no longer just assigned, it's closed. It automatically puts a close date in here, and I hit save. So that's the cycle that you would go through for a work order. That's basically a problem type work order. Now, there's many other different types of work orders that we deal with. And by the way, this is in managing work orders. This is where you can see and manage all the work orders. I'm going to go through that in a second. But first, I'm going to explain there are different types of work orders. So that was kind of an on-demand or a problem type work order that was sent in by one of your internal customers or users, employees. Also, there is the concept of recurring work orders. And recurring work orders, like a break room restock or those type of things, janitorial deep clean, very popular during COVID. Here, these are actually templates. So if I look at this one, for instance, every 7 days, we need to do the break room restock. Okay, and the owner of this is Daryl Trimble, and I can go in and say it's in a specific facility, the Arizona regional office, the location. I don't have to put an asset because this isn't really asset maintenance. There's a checklist of what is supposed to be done, and I can put comments on this as well, too. Now, what happens is the system goes in every morning at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., whatever we want to set it at, and looks across all these items in recurring work here. And if this date is equal to today, it copies this information and creates a work order. And here you can see break room restock, and everything. And so then you can track that. You can actually assign it. You can do whatever you want here. But this saves you from having to put them in every week as well. So that's one thing. It's called recurring work. There also is the concept of a recurring maintenance and on an asset. And so in your assets list, which we saw earlier that Graham opened up when he was working on things, here's the Arizona HVAC system. And we're tracking, of course, a whole bunch of things. But in the maintenance log, every 90 days, there is a maintenance done, seasonal maintenance. And you can go in and put in a checklist and so on into this maintenance. We'll see into it here as well. And it actually references an HVAC maintenance template, okay, which is over in the recurring work orders. So once again, the system looks at this, oh, it's this date. I'm going to go in, I'm going to grab that recurring work order. So if we look at recurring work orders here, here we go. we created one for all HVAC maintenance because you don't want to have one for every HVAC system. You want to have a general one that's populated then by the asset info. And so that's where this comes into play and has actually the checklist, annual, quarterly checklists, and so on. You can also do attachments of inspection forms on these type of things too. And what will happen is, and we'll see here, I'll show you actually how to use the search. I'm going to search the work orders and look for HVAC. And we can see that here's the maintenance work orders that were generated for HVAC maintenance as well. So those are the different types of work orders that can come through. Obviously, what we're doing is tracking the work your people are doing. Now, you can also manage these. This is a SharePoint list, so you can do things like if you wanted to move things around in the view, you can create your own reports if you would. And so I could go here and say, I really want the status to be over here. I might want to look at this by facility. So I might want to look at all my work orders by facility. I might want to look at them for just a certain time this year, whatever. So this allows you the ability to look at your work orders by request or by month, by priority, by category as well, and be able to see and manage these things. It also allows you to, for instance, go in and do totals. So like, we have 135 work orders in here and a total of 74 hours spent. And so you can break down hours by these different types of things. And you can create your own views. You can even do, calendar views to see, what work orders are due when and so on via a calendar view. And in fact, I think we have a calendar view over here. No, we don't have that, but you can add that if you want over there too. So this is working with work orders. Now, the other nice thing about it too is there is a dashboard too that you can use to look at yourself or also communicate to management that gives all the work order kind of information here. And this is a little hard to see, but we can see that there's, by assignees, by facility, by categories, or by asset, see how many of them were by month as well. And the nice thing about this is, number one, this is all customizable too. You can filter it here, or you can even go in and say, look, I just want to see the Arizona regional office. And it filters all these here. There's even a detail page where I can go in and say, I'm only interested in the building maintenance category. And I can see all just the building maintenance ones, or office maintenance one, or services provided, that type of thing as well too. So that is built into the system as well. Okay, and at this point, before I go into some of the other things that we do, I'll just stop and see if there is any questions so far. Okay.
Be quiet so far.
Okay. So, and the other thing that is happening behind the scenes too is, again, that there is notifications, there is reminders on due dates and everything that are built into the system as well. Now, the nice thing too is, as I mentioned, it's customizable. So like on work orders, maybe you want to add a field. Maybe you have a field called campuses. You want to put the campus in there. I could go in and add a field. It could be a choice field, which would show, multiple campuses, and add that field to the system. This is what we mean by no code system. And you can also add it where you want it on the forms. You can change the forms. You can also change, as we said, any of the report views. And you can even go in and set your own notifications. You could go in and say, I want to actually set a reminder on due dates, anytime due date is overdue, and send it to this person or this executive or whatever. I call that narking on people, but or set up rules for when it changes or when it closes, that type of thing. So this is all power user kind of notification things that is part of, because we're leveraging Office 365. So that's beyond what we already have built in as notifications and workflows too. Let's go take a look beyond work orders though. We have facilities resources. And we've seen that we have assets in here because we cross-referenced them. But with assets, we can also go in and see assets by facility. We can see them by vendor. We can see them by what their status is, which ones are available, which ones are inactive as well. We have had people use this for kind of checking in and checking out. It's just having the status of the asset. But we have customized check-in and check-out type things as well too. So just like in the work orders, you can set up and have many different views of your assets, which is usually something that is very helpful, especially during budget time and so on. You can actually have it add up costs. You can do many different things with these views as well. Another thing that we keep track of is the facilities themselves. And here we can see the facilities themselves. And again, you can add different information, facilities type, location, and so on here as well. And track, history of work orders and activities against that facility too. Other things is you saw that we had contractors in there. If you have agreements with different contractors, we were doing the Arizona office heating and cooling. If it came down to more than just the thermostat and we needed to call in heating and cooling expert, we could have actually selected them in the work order and it would have sent an email to this contractor with information from that work order. And we actually show what facilities that they are near and what category of types of work that they do as well. And you can also go in and track ratings on them as well, and for review, and easily see all the work orders that they've completed in the last year or whatever it might be. Equipment is exactly that. I'd say about half, not even half of our customers use the equipment thing. If you don't use something, by the way, you can hide it in here. But this is just tracking shared equipment and what work orders they were used on as well. We've seen facilities documents, so cross-referencing floor plans, cross-referencing warranties. That's all part of these. But if you want to go in and see a specific document, you can always go in. Maybe I'm looking for something from Grass Valley office, everything related to Grass Valley office, and there's the office plan. So again, any of these you can search as well. And then finally, there also is vendors. And these are the vendors related to assets. The nice thing is if American Standard or whatever came out and said, we got a recall, you're going to notice, you can go in and find all the assets that notice impacts, either through search of assets or looking at the vendor and seeing what assets are under its assets tab too. So you can see that it's actually managing more than just work orders. It's actually helping you manage documents and so on. There's also another non-asset or facility document library that is where you can manage things like contracts and policies and those type of things as well. And for contracts and those type of things, we actually track renewal dates and also give reminders around renewal dates and so on. So what we have here is really built on Office 365 and available through Teams, a complete really facilities management application that encompasses work orders, assets, the facilities, documents, and so on, all built in. And totally flexible, changing fields, changing pages. If you, for instance, need to link to GPS or GIS, you could link to that here and add additional links for your staff to get to different things as well. It becomes kind of a facility central for the staff. And The other thing too is for your field workers, there also is field service part of this. It's hard for me to show you what it looks like, but this is specifically the My Work Orders field service form. And this actually will adjust and everything for a phone. And they could go in and fill out stuff on the phone. They could look at their work orders and complete them out in the field. And with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Not too many. No questions?
Okay. One other thing I'll just address is, how is this installed? How do you actually get it into your SharePoint tenant? Well, first of all, we do it in a way that is not invasive. Your IT people will like that. Facilities, the product is a SharePoint site, or a SharePoint site collection, a modern SharePoint site. And it obviously can be accessed through Teams. We implement that. We provision this as a SharePoint site. We provision the Power Automate and Power BI templates into this. So it is a fully working application. When it's installed, we do go through something called a full start. And that's where we actually configure it with you. We do training for your staff. That also is the point where either we or you can customize it as well. And it's really the kind of from initial install all the way through to rolling it out to your organization. Full start is our service deployment package as well. So it's something that we've done it as hundreds of times. And also it's something that you can add things to very easily. The other nice thing is, if you're using it with other products, we have a lot of our facilities customers that have bought our safety product, which tracks incidents and those type of things and can generate reports and so on. You can cross-reference these products to each other as well. So you could go in and see safety incidents here, or link to safety here as well. So overall, hopefully this has been helpful for you. And we have recorded this so that you can get a recording. And if you have questions, we will follow up with you just to make sure that any questions you've had have been addressed.
Yeah, I see some have fallen off and some literally just jumped on. So I think sending that video out will be important. So we'll get that out to you guys. Teresa, is that you?
Yeah, it is. Sorry about that. We had an urgent issue.
That's okay. We know how life is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we recorded it. So we'll get that out to you.
Excellent.
And if you have any questions, if you want to catch
so
up.
Did anyone from the dev team show up? You know?
What company are you with? I hate to ask you that.
Cypress Lawn, or
no, not to my knowledge.
My team is Veltris, though.
Yeah, I don't see. No.
Okay.
Nope. So, do you want me to reach out, maybe give you a call and set something up specifically?
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
All right, I will do that.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining. As we said, we will send a follow-up with a link to the video recording of this as well.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Bye-bye.